Chesapeake, Virginia, 1650 AM WHKT presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick and at GJBTV.com. Now here is Greg Bicouvaris.
All right, thank you very much, Ken Johnson. Glad you're with us. 3 days before 2017. We are live as always. Happy New Year. Greg Bicouvaris along with my former producer at the game for 5 years, BT Briggs. Glad you're with us right here at the end of 2016. This is Sports Scene, an interview show each Wednesday from 12 to 1. Also sports highlights on nnpstv.com. Tell your friends about 1650. Twitter at Greg Bick, at Sports Highlight, at GJBTV, HROnlineMall.com. You can see all my Twitter handles on GJBTV.com. Also, WHKT AM 1650. Nice Twitter feed as well. Thank you to our military. Great guest lineup as always. Sponsors on HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com as well as GJBTV.com, as well as my background on GJBTV.com. Guest lineup presented by Mi Casita Mexican Restaurant with 2 excellent locations in Virginia Beach. You can see their link on the restaurant section on HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Phone line presented by Me Hogar. Sponsors in December, Spaghetti Eddie's, Crawl Space, Me Hogar, and our good friends at Long's Billiards, where they're having a big sale right now at Long's Billiards. $400 off purchase price at the cash register when you buy a pool table. So whatever the pool table amount is, get an additional $400 off by saying Sports Scene to Scott over at longsbilliards.com. Great gift, great extra gift right here during the New Year's. Start off with a pool table right there on Warwick Boulevard in Newport News. For more, go to longsbilliards.com. Sports Nuggets, all the bowls going on. Redskins, Giants, very simple. The Redskins have to beat the Giants, and let's hope that for their sake, the Lions and Packers don't tie. Patriots always doing well. They're in the postseason. The Texans, Steelers, Chiefs, Raiders, Dolphins waiting on the NFC. Of course, the Wizards will be starting up here, right here on 1650 as well, starting in January. Congratulations to Old Dominion for winning the Popeyes Bowl. George Karl is in the news for criticizing his former players. Also, LeBron James getting the AP Man of the Year award. Congratulations to him. And already, NFL coaching firings already with Rex Ryan gone from the Bills and his brother as well. And, of course, coaching changes as usual with Jacksonville. This is Sports Scene at Greg Bick on Twitter. Stay tuned for some Papa John's prizes a little bit later during the show for a free large pizza. We'll be back after these messages.
Nor'easter season is here, so don't get all wet. Protect your house. Call Crawl Space Door Systems at 363-0005. Reduce your flood insurance, reduce the threat of mold and insects, and save energy. Crawl Space Doors, air vents, flood vents, vent covers, and fans can help you stay dry or get you dry quickly. Contact Crawl Space Doors for more information at 363-0005 or online at crawlspacedores.com. Stay dry, my friends.
People in Chesapeake and Hampton Roads have come to expect the finest Italian food at Spaghetti Eddie's. In addition to great lunch and dinner served daily, this fine establishment caters to and can host your party. Call 484-7301 for their Taylor Road location and call 410-5500 for their restaurant in Greenbrier. For more, log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com.
Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to GJBTV.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene on 1650 AM and TuneIn.com.
All right, back live right here on Sports Scene, your 10,000-watt voice of Hampton Roads right here, your home for the Baltimore Ravens. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us. Happy New Year to everyone, 3 days away, right here at 12:10, as well as we talk right here up until 1 o'clock as usual, you're home for the Wizards starting in January. Well, of course, we're in Redskins country. The Ravens did not make the postseason this year. The Redskins are trying to against the Giants. And one team that is back in the postseason is the vaunted Oakland Raiders from the Bay Area. And let's welcome a Bay Area fixture for decades who is part of the 49ers pre- and post-game show. Welcome to Virginia Beach. Welcome to Virginia. Rich Walcoff. How are you, my friend? Rich, how are you? Rich.
Hey, good morning.
Rich, you're live on the air, my friend. I don't know what you're doing, but we're live on the air. How are you?
Okay, I didn't hear anything, and
Yes.
let's call it a false start from coast to coast. But it's all good.
It's all good. Of course, you're out on the West Coast. And first of all, tell us your bio blast. You've had a storied career on radio and TV in the West Coast.
Well, about 30 years covering 49ers and Raiders, part of the pre- and post-game shows, co-hosting those, 49ers sideline guy for 15 years on the Super Bowl, first ever radio Super Bowl sideline reporter in Miami when Steve Young threw 6 touchdown passes in '95 and the blowout win over the Chargers. So a good ride for me, and now kind of on the sunset side of things.
Right. Well, you talk about another team in the Bay Area, and of course we'll talk about a lot of different nuggets there, is the Raiders. They haven't been to the Super Bowl since the 02-03 season when they played Tampa Bay, and you and I were talking off the air that Madden was calling the game, of course, and the Raiders had their current coach, and of course Chucky, of course, was coaching Tampa Bay, so that was a total Raiders bowl there.
Oh, my goodness. Of course, that was the infamous game where John Gruden was actually playing the scout team quarterback as he was the Rich Gannon in practice leading up to that Super Bowl, and Gannon was picked off 5 times. It appeared as though they knew what was coming before it was happening, and they had the playbook pretty well mapped out. Of course, Gruden was traded in that rare coach trade to Tampa the year before after the infamous Tuck game in New England that destroyed the Raiders' chances of going to the Super Bowl in Gruden's last season. And it was a Raider debacle of maybe the beginning of the end for them, because for 15 years from that point forward, they didn't have a winning record till now.
Mm-hmm. And you talk about the Raiders. Did you see that Gruden would do so well in the TV area that he did back then, or could you tell he was glib even then?
Well, John Gruden, come on. Chucky was the personification of all that the NFL loves. The gritty Gruden grinder, a face that was made to a caricature of the Chucky that movie figure.
Yeah.
And in many ways, he played his way out of Oakland because Al Davis didn't like the idea that the franchise had a new face. It was Gruden over him. So, the town and the team wasn't big enough for both of them. But John Gruden is, hardcore, bleeds all that football is all about. And I think it's just an extension of his love of the game that you hear on television every week on Monday Night Football.
Talking to Rich Walcoff. He's out in the Bay Area in California. Glad you're with us. This is Greg Bicouvaris on Sports Scene, live right here at 12:14 with BT Briggs. And you talked about Al Davis. It seemed like, even back he had more patience when he was younger, of course, with Madden and Flores when they won Super Bowls. But, as the time they moved to L.A. and back and forth, it just seemed like he became the old, grumpy old man. And now it seems like the Raiders are finally evolving with his son at the helm, as well as Jack Del Rio. It seems like everything is in peace except for the stadium.
Well, yeah, that's a huge issue, obviously, and we'll get to that in a moment. I think the key thing was Reggie McKenzie survived the first couple of years as a rookie GM, if you will, and really did not pull the right, push the right buttons and make the right picks. But Mark Davis stuck by him because he believed that Reggie would find his way. And 2 seasons ago, in the selections of Khalil Mack and Derek Carr, arguably the best young quarterback and best young pass rusher in the league, really, encapsulated how far McKenzie had come. And his other draft picks and free agent signings, Semele from the Ravens to shore up an offensive line that is now arguably among the best in the league, and some other draft picks that they've made. DeAndre Washington, 5th-round running back out of Washington, who's been a real a real surprise this season. So McKenzie as a GM and Mark Davis, unlike his dad, recognizing he's not a football aficionado. He wasn't a coach, GM, commissioner of the American Football League and the like. You got to know what you don't know. And Mark Davis has been wise enough to let McKenzie do his thing in selecting Jack Del Rio, a guy who grew up in the shadows of the Oakland Coliseum as a Raider fan as a kid, and bringing in Ken Norton Jr. to revitalize the defense that started out so poorly and is now finding its way. All that speaks to Mark Davis in acknowledging he let football people make football decisions, while his late father, in the back end of his life, had lost his mojo, and the game had kind of passed him by, yet he was reluctant, if not unwilling, to accept that.
Yes, talking to Rich Walcoff right here. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us right here on News Talk 1650. TuneIn.com. Type in WHKT to listen on your phone or your computer. That's what's amazing, too, Rich, is how far radio and TV have changed that you can hear this show right now in the Bay Area on TuneIn. Just TuneIn has changed the whole world of AM or FM radio.
Well, I love that because obviously anyone can go online and hear things around the world, and it's a far cry from when I started this business 40 years ago when, if you didn't have the antenna up on your little transistor radio, you probably couldn't receive a signal more than 20 or 30 miles outside of where you were broadcasting from.
Very good. Now let's talk about the stadium, what's going on, because it's very unique, one of the few Major League Baseball, NFL coexisting teams with the A's and the Raiders. It's just awkward at best, even in September and October, especially when the A's are actually doing well in the postseason, that how anybody cannot get an injury week to week. And, of course, I think the Raiders are best staying in Oakland. And, of course, I know the city council has been talking about it, but it seems like they're, in 2018 possibly might be going to Vegas. What is the reality of that?
Well, it is so convoluted and it's so bizarre. First of all, the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum is the only multi-purpose stadium still in America. Absolutely. So the A's and the Raiders are the only teams that share a home. Mm-hmm. And obviously, when baseball goes into September and October, you still have the diamond and the dirt part of the infield as a part of the football field, which makes for quite the spectacle on NFL Sundays. But this is a very complex storyline. Ronnie Lott and the Fortress Investment Group have just gotten the green light from the city and county of Alameda, which oversees the stadium, to pursue their plan to build a new stadium on the current site of the Coliseum for $1.2 or $1.3 billion. They've gotten a preliminary go-ahead to advance their mission. But Mark Davis has turned a blind eye to that. He is now in direct negotiation with Sheldon Adelson in Las Vegas for a $1.9 billion dome stadium in Sin City. Mm-hmm. And then the other variable is whether San Diego's Chargers will move into L.A. to team with the Raiders in Los Angeles, a decision that should be forthcoming in the next few weeks. And if the Chargers say no, the Raiders have dibs on becoming a co-tenant with the Rams in their soon-to-be spectacular new stadium in Los Angeles. So you've got these three moving parts with a lot of unknown and uncertainty. Lott's group probably wants some equity share in the Raiders. Adelson definitely wants more of a share of the Raiders. That's potentially a sticking point. Will the NFL owners, three-quarters, have to approve a move? Would they go for a Raider stadium in the 40th largest market and all the gambling ancillary concerns there? Or would they prefer the Raiders stay in the 5th largest market in the Bay Area, but knowing that there are so many uncertainties related to funding the $1.2 billion stadium that Ronnie Lott's Fortress Group is proposing?
We're talking to Rich Walcoff. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us. Rich was part of the 49ers pre- and post-game show for years and decades and been in radio and TV for a long, long time. you look at the 49ers, they've been a mess since Harbaugh left. They got a brand new stadium. And, of course, the Rams the Rams just fired their coach. The Raiders are talking about going to Vegas. The Chargers seem like they're basically homeless right now. And, of course, the Seahawks, they're holding fort there. But like you said, all the West Coast teams right now are in a state of flux. Even the 49ers.
Well, the 49ers are in a state of flux. They're in a state of rapid decline.
Yeah.
They have a spectacular stadium, and they cut the heart and soul out of a lot of 49er fans when they left San Francisco and never truly considered building a new stadium in the city by the bay. So they moved 40 miles south, but it's light years from San Francisco, alienating their core base. And the Harbaugh fiasco was the beginning of massive decline from a Super Bowl appearance 4 years ago to maybe the first or second overall pick and a 2-14 season on the horizon. The Chargers are probably going to join the Rams in L.A. because at the Chargers-Raiders game a few weeks ago in San Diego, my friends who were at that game said they were about 80% silver and black fans at Qualcomm Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
The city has rejected efforts to build or support the building of a new stadium for the Chargers. So the Spanos family is all but said they are going to go to L.A. Now, if that happens, the Raiders either stay and try to build a new stadium on the Coliseum site with the Ronnie Lott Group, with help from the NFL, or make a deal with Adelson, the billionaire in Las Vegas, who, as I said earlier, wants a good chunk of the team's equity to build that stadium for Mark Davis, who was reluctant to part with a measure of the franchise, but also is not talking directly to Ronnie Lott's group, is not wanting to negotiate with Oakland, has put his focus on moving that team to Las Vegas. Mm-hmm. So you got a big high-stakes poker game that may not see a resolution for many months to come.
Absolutely. Talking to Rich Walcoff right here. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us right here on Sports Scene every Wednesday, noon to 1, right here on News Talk 1650. Is this dreaming too much, Rich, that the Raiders and 49ers would ever share the stadium? I mean, would that ever or was that ever talked about ever?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because 3 years ago I had Eddie DeBartolo on our 49er pregame show, and I posed that question to him. And the former 49er owner said, yeah, he had reached out to the Raiders and offered not so much a co-tenancy, but the 49ers are building the stadium. The Raiders could be sort of, renters, if you will. Well, the egos and the animus between the Raiders and the 49ers, it is epic. It is legendary. It will rival Red Sox Yankees of today or Yankees or Dodgers Giants of the last 50 years here on the West Coast after their rivalry in New York. There is no love between these two. And the 49ers have this spectacular stadium and a terrible team. The Raiders have the worst stadium and one of the most exciting young teams. So how's that for irony? But although Eddie D said, yeah, we'd welcome the Raiders to Levi Stadium, I think Mark Davis would be very reluctant, and Raider fans would be, have to bite their tongues, hold their noses, and do whatever to imagine sharing that stadium for a short term. Because there's talk that perhaps they would be tenants there for 2 years while that new Oakland Raiders stadium was built on the current site of the Coliseum. But even that is a long shot.
With that said, the Raiders are 12-3 going to the postseason without Derek Carr. And, of course, Chip Kelly and the 49ers are 2-13. And, of course, it's been controversial ever since Kaepernick decided to sit down during the national anthem. My question is, will the 49ers be patient enough to grant Kelly year number 2?
Well, I think we will learn that very soon after the season when General Manager Trent Baalke is likely fired, and whether the 49ers decide to clean house or are they going to continue to pay coaches to not coach for them. Jim Harbaugh made a lot of money to not coach after he was let go, although the 49ers mysteriously said a mutual parting of ways when we all knew it was an ouster. Then Jim Tomsula gets $14 million to coach 1 year and 3 years of non-coaching. This contract was guaranteed, right? And now Jim Kelly has a 4 4-year, $20 million contract. He may be one and done, like Tom Sula. So the wheels have come off the 49er wagon, no doubt, and Balke is being viewed as the man most responsible, but he's putting this roster together that is clearly not equipped to compete at the elite level in the NFL. And I'm not a big Chip Kelly fan, but I don't know if anyone could have won with what he has. But I would imagine the new general manager in San Francisco with the 49ers is going to be very interested in bringing in his own coaching staff, as is generally the case. So for the third straight year, the 49ers may be saying goodbye to a head coach, but there could be a cleaning of the house in a big-time way with the red and gold.
Yeah, it seems like there's always, even throughout the NFL, especially a battle between the head coach and the GM for control. Not many guys are like in college, like Saban, who have total control. And it seems like the guys that did have total control, even like Mike Holmgren, couldn't handle it all. It's just very difficult to do both of those jobs full time. I mean, it's
yeah, no question. I mean, maybe Bill Parcells, Andy Reid, Bill Belichick. But Bill Walsh, in his day, there were only a handful of men through the years. Al Davis, in his heyday, did it all for the silver and black. But you're right. Today, you've got John Schneider in Seattle making masterful moves with a great coach in Pete Carroll. You've got Keim in Arizona making, I think, 250 roster moves in 4 years to put the Cardinals back on the map in the NFC West. But rarely do you see a coach, GM, or football operations president all rolled into one man. So that's why I say it would be hard-pressed to imagine a new general manager for the 49ers coming in and keeping Chip Kelly, given what has happened to this point. That's just my gut on it, even though, as I said earlier, I don't think anyone could have won with the kind of roster that Trent Baalke had assembled for the 49ers and Chip Kelly having a choice between Blaine Gabbert and Colin Kaepernick. Pick your poison there.
Talking to Rich Walcoff, fixture in radio and TV in the West Coast, part of the 49ers pre- and post-game show for decades. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us live right here at 12:28. How's the health of Coach Madden, the former Raiders coach and great ABC and NBC commentator, as well as Fox? I mean, how is he doing today? He has to be tickled pink that the Raiders are back in the postseason. And I'm wondering if he had any influence, because he's pretty close to Davis about Oakland and that whole stadium thing. But how's his health?
Well, he had a heart attack, I think 6 months ago, and was no longer doing his daily radio commentaries on the CBS station in town in San Francisco. I don't believe we'll expect him back in that role again, yet he did make a public appearance at the Coliseum when they honored the late, great Kenny the Snake Stabler for his induction posthumously into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I think Madden has made a recovery, but again, at the age of 80, I can't speak to it with full conviction. I don't know, but I'm encouraged to say that seeing him in the public spotlight again, he looked pretty good, and I think a lot of people know how near and dear he is to the Raiders and vice versa. And I know that inner cadre, George Atkinson, Willie Brown, the Raider greats of yesteryear, Jim Plunkett, Tom Flores, and Madden, all have Mark Davis's ear. And as I mentioned earlier, unlike some teams where owners meddle into the football realm despite their lack of knowledge and prowess, Mark Davis has been smart enough to know what he doesn't know and rely on those great Raider stars and coaches from yesteryear to guide him in personnel and in decisions about the team.
You're exactly right. I'm sick and tired of watching Jerry Jones speak for his coach Garrett, who has had an excellent year this year. Let the kid speak. He's the head coach. Nobody wants to see an owner talk with 50 microphones. You know that's an ego thing. You know that, Rich. We're both in radio and TV. You know that firsthand.
Line up Daniel Snyder and
he doesn't do that,
and others of that ilk. Jerry Jones was an offensive lineman at Arkansas with Barry Switzer about 60 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And he thinks a couple of years in the trenches qualifies him to speak on every matter with the Cowboys. But then again, the guy writes the check. He built the palace. He is the man. In many respects, that comes with the turf. If it's your team, you can do what you want. Ask Mark Cuban. I mean, it's not just unique to the NFL world or George Steinbrenner in his day or whomever. And when you write the checks and it's your team, you have carte blanche. And it may not be the smartest path, but that's what remember what Bob Dylan said: "Money don't talk, it swears."
Right. But, it's funny. My producer and I, we both worked for the Redskins radio here that Snyder owned in Virginia Beach for 6 years. But he never, you don't hear him speaking after each time they lose to the Cowboys.
No, but he does make football decisions probably above and beyond the call of his knowledge. And up until very recently, the Redskins have been fairly pedestrian. And now you've got a little bit of a buzz because Kirk Cousins has lit it up, but he's tried to buy his way to championships rather than build his way, and I think that, sort of the NFL version of George Steinbrenner, and although Steinbrenner had a lot of rings, I don't know how many rings Daniel Snyder is going to get with the Redskins.
He's still young. I want a couple more questions. You mentioned, Jim Plunkett and Tom Flores. Do you think they'll ever get in the Hall of Fame?
I don't think so. I really don't. Plunk, love the guy, and 2 Super Bowl rings like Tom Flores, but I don't think you could put them in the pantheon of the greats of all time. They had lightning in a bottle a couple of times. Lightning struck twice, but neither, I think, could, should, or will be considered for the greatest of the greats, where you get a bust in Canton, Ohio. No disrespect to either guy, but I can't see them, especially 40 and 50 years after their achievements, getting acknowledged at this or in the future.
How far can the Raiders go in the postseason without?
I don't think
Carr?
Too far.
Yeah.
You're ready to say without Derek Carr. Matt McGloin is at best a journeyman. 4 years in the league. I think he's thrown a handful of passes the last couple of seasons. They have a very explosive offense, but it's triggered by a dynamic, young Aaron Rodgers-like quarterback in Derek Carr. Without him, it's like asking the Packers to win without Rodgers, or I wouldn't say the Patriots without Brady, because you have so much more around that team. But the Raiders don't have a good enough secondary. They live on that great pass rush and an explosive, dynamic offense that loses its trigger man. So if they win Sunday in Denver, they get a first-round bye and a home game.
Yeah.
And maybe they get past the opening round in that divisional game. But I can't see them winning more than one game in the playoffs in the absence of Carr. And that's a shame, because their defense has rallied, and they get into shootout games, and they're more likely than not win a shootout game with Carr. Without him, that's just not happening.
Rich, all the best. Thank you for coming in the last 24 hours. All the best to you and your family for a great new year, and thank you for all that you've done in radio and TV during your time out in the West Coast.
I haven't met you, but you seem like a great guy, Greg, and I appreciate your kind words. Take care, buddy.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Rich. All right, Rich Walcoff right there, along with BT Briggs. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us. This is Sports Scene every Wednesday, 12 to 1 on 1650 AM. Also, tunein.com. Type in WHKT to listen to your phone or your computer. Don't forget, we got highlights. We got What Teased Me Off. The 3rd annual Art Rooney Sportsmanship Award honors NFL players who exemplify outstanding sportsmanship on the field. Each NFL team nominates one player for the award. And earlier this year, a panel of NFL legends selected 8 finalists from the 32 nominees. Darren Sproles and Marshall Yanda were both selected as 2 of the finalists. Sproles, of course, plays for the Eagles. Yanda plays for the Ravens. Their winner will be decided by a vote of current NFL players and announced at the NFL Honors Award Show February 4th on Fox, the night before Super Bowl 51. Buffalo Wild Wings and Newport News, your great place for wings, beer, and sports. Of course, great social media as well. Go by and see Paul Odette and the friendly staff. They've got the best flavors like all the mild, the honey, all the different type of teriyaki sauces on your wings. They got great burgers. They've got great appetizers, great desserts, all the types of foods you like at Buffalo Wild Wings. Great salads, wall-to-wall TV, your place for all the bowl games, including the Final Four going on this weekend. Of course, all the great bowls. Virginia Tech will be showcased. NFL, January 1st, will be an NFL bonanza on New Year's Day. Normally that was college football's day, but January 1st is all about the NFL this Sunday, including the big game Sunday 4:25 on Fox between the Giants and the Redskins. The Giants are already in the postseason. They can eliminate the Redskins, so it'll be a really dramatic day in Landover, Sunday 4:25, January 1st. All the great sports, all the great TV, all the great delicious food. The number one social place in Newport News, Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, and sports right there by Patrick Henry Mall, your place for lunch, dinner, and late night. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more of Sports Scene after these messages.
Nor'easter season is here, so don't get all wet.
Protect your house. Call Crawl Space Door Systems at 363-0005. Reduce your flood insurance, reduce the threat of mold and insects, and save energy. Crawl Space Doors, air vents, flood vents, vent covers, and fans can help you stay dry or get you dry quickly. Contact Crawl Space Doors for more information at 363-0005 or online at crawlspacedores.com. Stay dry, my friends.
Hi, this is Greg Bicouvaris, inviting you to join me for Sports Scene live each Wednesday from noon to 1 right here on News Talk 1650 and TuneIn.com by typing WHKT in the search box. Excellent guests and interaction at Greg Bick on Twitter, all powered by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Sports Scene each Wednesday from noon to 1 right here on News Talk 1650. People in Chesapeake and Hampton Roads have come to expect the finest Italian food at Spaghetti Eddie's. In addition to great lunch and dinner served daily, this fine establishment caters to and can host your party. Call 484-7301 for their Taylor Road location and call 410-5500 for their restaurant in Greenbrier. For more, log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com.
The place to go for U.S. rare coins is Newcastle Coins and Collectibles in Chesapeake. They specialize in U.S. and silver and gold coins and provide free verbal offers and are always buying U.S. rare coins. Newcastle Coins and Collectibles, 681 North Battlefield Boulevard in Chesapeake, across from Chesapeake General, open Tuesday through Saturday and always online at newcastlecollectibles.com. Call 757-609-3633, 757-609-3633 for Newcastle Coins and Collectibles.
Oh, yeah, this is the place where Washington Wizards basketball comes alive on the radio.
John Wall, edge of the circle, cuts to his right, splits the defenders, drives, 360 under the basket, makes and scores!
Follow John Wall, the Wizards, all season long on their journey through the NBA.
Catch and shoot for three, it's there! It's there!
Check it on Twitter at Dave J Sports or at GC Talks. It is the hashtag radio party right here on your home for Washington Wizards basketball.
Listen on 1650 AM, The Answer.
It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
All right, back live right here on 1650. Hope you enjoyed that nice interview with Rich Walcoff talking about the West Coast scene of sports, especially the Raiders going back to the playoffs. Congratulations to them as well. Don't forget GJBTV.com. Hit the YouTube link for archived shows. Shop on the marketplace sponsors of GJBTV.com and HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Save the date each Wednesday from 12 to 1 for Sports Scene. HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Browse, shop, and visit as well. We're going to try to get a hold of Robert Fish here in just a few moments as well. And, of course, a lot going on in the bowl scene as well. And we'd like to welcome the men and women in uniform serving around the world, listening to today's broadcast in 175 countries and ships at sea on TuneIn.com by typing in WHKT on your phone or your computer. Thanks for all that you do. We hope you're enjoying today's broadcast of Sports Scene right here on News Talk 1650 and TuneIn.com. Also, a locals tradition, a great place to watch the bowls is CP Shuckers with locations on Shore Drive and Pacific Avenue. People love their prime rib, seafood, and much, much more. Also, they showcase the NFL, college basketball, the NBA, and also all great sports, including the Super Bowl as well. Like both locations on Facebook, log on to cpshuckers.com. Eat or be eaten at CP Shuckers. Great appetizers, burgers, pasta, seafood as well. For more, go to cpshuckers.com. We'll take a short break. We'll come back after these messages right here on 1650 AM and tunein.com. Tell your friends. People in Chesapeake and Hampton Roads have come to expect the finest Italian food at Spaghetti Eddie's. In addition to great lunch and dinner served daily, this fine establishment caters to and can host your party. Call 484-7301 for their Taylor Road location and call 410-5500 for their restaurant in Greenbrier. For more, log on to SpaghettiEddiesPizzaCafe.com.
Oh, yeah, this is the place where Washington Wizards basketball comes alive on the radio.
John Wall, edge of the circle, cuts to his right, splits the defenders, drives, 360 under the basket, makes and scores!
Follow John Wall, the Wizards, all season long on their journey through the NBA.
Catch and shoot for three, it's there! It's there!
Check it on Twitter at Dave J Sports or at GC Talks. It is the hashtag radio party right here on your home for Washington Wizards basketball.
Listen on 1650 AM, The Answer.
Nor'easter season is here, so don't get all wet.
Protect your house. Call Crawl Space Door Systems at 363-0005. Reduce your flood insurance, reduce the threat of mold and insects, and save energy. Crawl Space Doors, air vents, flood vents, vent covers, and fans can help you stay dry or get you dry quickly. Contact Crawl Space Doors for more information at 363-0005 or online at crawlspacedores.com. Stay dry, my friends.
Now back to Greg Bicouvaris and Sports Scene in the Hampton Roads Online Mall.com studio.
All right, back live right here on News Talk 1650, tunein.com, type in WHKT, listen to your phone or your computer. This is Sports Scene. I want to thank Rich Walcoff from the West Coast talking about the Raiders going back to the postseason, first time in a long, long time. We got a few moments to join a good buddy of mine. I met him way back in 1988. I was doing a TV game for then the Virginia Generals, and Robert Fish was the radio announcer. And since then, folks, he's been the UVA sideline reporter. He's done radio for the Richmond Braves, also part of the University of Richmond broadcast, and much, much more from Richmond. He's also done the Tides here as a sub. Robert Fish, how are you, my friend? Happy New Year. Robert, how are you?
You are too. We're just kind of in between a few things here, but things are going pretty good. Hope you are as well.
Very good. First of all, let's start off with Richmond. I mean, they did the postseason without their quarterback, but did anybody expect their coach to take pretty much, in my opinion, a lateral move to go to Delaware?
I think you're right on that with the move, and I don't know how expected it was. I think, with a couple of weeks into the basketball season, we were all sitting in the press room getting ready to play a game against Hampton for the Spiders there with the media, and we heard some rumblings that Coach Rocco had maybe started to look around at Delaware at that time. And so I think, it did come up rather quickly if you look at it, but may have been brewing for a while. But I don't know that anybody expected him to leave. And, I think maybe he just felt like he'd done about all he could do and was looking for another opportunity. But perhaps, if things had gone a different route, it might have been able to work out, but for him to stay. But I think it did have a little legs to it, with a couple of weeks still left in the football season.
You look at Tech, they're going to a bowl, of course. Congratulations, brand new coach taking them to a bowl. And you look at UVA, brand new coach, really bad year, really not inspiring at all. It's just amazing what the right hire will do and the right talent will do as well as the right staff.
I think you got it right on all those points. I think Justin Fuente, Tech was hovering around 500 there for the last 2.5 to 3 years of Beamer's tenure, and they couldn't quite get over the hump. They had a nice arrangement this year. The big thing to me with them, Greg, is they found a quarterback. Mm-hmm. Nothing against some of the other guys they had, but they found a guy that could run what they wanted to run. And I think that's been real key for them because, they seem to have a couple of pieces, certainly on the defensive side. On the Virginia side of things, they're still, I thought they'd found a quarterback with Ben Kurt. It seemed as if he was the guy who was going to step forward, but as the season wore on, for whatever reason, that old bugaboo for them. With Mike London, they switched quarterbacks a lot so much, and did the same thing with Mendenhall down the stretch. So I don't know if he's the right guy at Virginia yet. I think in his instance, Greg, he's found out that may be a harder rebuild than he thought. So let's give him a little time to see what kind of changes he can make. But it's going to be a tough ride, for him to fix that all in like a year and a half. As some of these coaches are able to do, they're able to come in and take over right away and make a huge difference. He's also switching to the 3-4 defense, having 4-3 personnel. I think that hurt him a little bit as well.
Talking to Robert Fish, of course, former UVA sideline reporter, also part of the Richmond radio network as well for the Spiders. And of course, that's right, the Belk Bowl, Tech versus Arkansas in Charlotte tomorrow at 5:30 on ESPN. Of course, it just seems like these bowls really, Robert, though, unless you're a fan of the schools or TV programming, except for the Final Four, that's what it's pretty much come down to. I mean, how can anybody keep up with 41 bowls?
Well, you're right. I love college football, and I love watching bowl games, but I don't watch anywhere near the amount that I used to. I've seen very little of any of the games that have been played so far, and when I try to sit down and watch them, I don't know what it is. I think some of this arrangement has, even starting back when the BCS started, it kind of, sent the bowls into a little less meaning except for those teams that are playing in it. Temple and Wake Forest was a fantastic game, but it only meant something to Temple and Wake Forest. So it makes it a little bit harder to watch except for those that are doing bowl pools and the like. I haven't seen as much as I used to watch. I'll sit down and still watch a few of the bigger ones, so to speak. And maybe there's a matchup I'd like to see that's pretty intriguing. And I will, of course, watch the Virginia Tech game and see how well they can do against Arkansas. But, they have taken on a little less meaning, I think.
Very good, Robert. Finally, Richmond Spiders leave you with this note. Basketball right around 500, I guess. It's amazing how we can pretty much tell who's going to have to be an at-large team if they get lucky, because, that's the thing about November and December basketball. When people aren't paying attention, their records still keep going, whether you win or you lose.
Well, that's what sets you up. If you have a good schedule and you get some wins, then you've got to take care of business. You can't go out and lose to perhaps like Richmond did the other night. They lost to Oral Roberts. Even though it's on the road and it's in Tulsa, that's not a particularly good loss for them if they want to set up an at-large situation. So you can't lose those games. You have to take care of business. I think the Spiders are still a work in progress. They've got some young kids that are really good, a couple of Virginia kids like Delonte Buckingham from Henrico. And I know folks down there are familiar with him because of the state championships they won of the teams they had to play against. And Nick Sherrod, who's Edmund Sherrod's grandson, and also the son of Sherrod who played at Old Dominion, so you're familiar with him too. Big score in the private schools, but they're young. They're freshmen. They lost Grant Golden to a heart situation. He's not out, but he's out for now. I don't know whether he'll be able to come back, but he's had to have a procedure after he collapsed on the court a couple of nights ago. So, it's a build in progress, and you're right, though, that you've got to set that up with your non-conference schedule, and you've got to take care of business before you get into a very rugged 8-10 schedule or any other conference for that matter.
Robert, thank you for coming on. We'll talk to you more extensively the next couple of months, and congratulations to everything that you do, and all the best to the Spiders and to your family for a wonderful 2017.
All right, Greg, same to you. It's good to chat with you as always. Always enjoy seeing you when we run into each other, and always still think about those formative days when we were trying to make our way through those Virginia General days. But
wow,
good to be on with you, and I appreciate it very much.
Always a gentleman, Robert. Always enjoy talking to you. All the best, my friend. Thank you.
You too. Take care.
All right. Outback Steakhouse right there in Virginia Beach at 1255 Fordham Drive in Kempsville. Great place to unwind and relax. Go by there for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. Get some great appetizers like shrimp or the onion, bloom petals, of course, Victoria's filet steaks, the salmon. They got appetizers, burgers. They got great pasta. They got great wings, soups. They got it all right there at Outback Steakhouse in Virginia Beach at 1255 Fordham Drive in Kempsville. Give them a call at 523-4832. Watch all the college bowls. Watch Virginia Tech tomorrow against Arkansas at 5:30 on ESPN. Right there at 1255 Fordham Drive in Kempsville at Outback Steakhouse. Go by and see Mike and the great staff. Lunch, dinner, Any time is a good time at Outback Steakhouse. And after Gina, we'll go right to what teased me off. But first, I'd like to give a listener a lucky prize for the holidays. The first person to text the word pizza, just text the word pizza to 757-291-4234. That's 757-291-4234. You'll get a free large pizza from Papa John's. Text the word pizza right now to 757-291-4234, and the pizza is yours for free. Text pizza to 291-4234, and you get a large pizza from Papa John's free. Text it now. First winner only. Gina Ippolito from Smithfield, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you. It'll be here in just a few days.
Yes, 3 days away, of course. Talk about your big event coming up in mid-January.
Our next big event is January 14th. It is the Saturday of Martin Luther King weekend, and it is the Smithfield VA Bob Fest. And Bob stands for Bloody Marys, oysters, barbecue, Brunswick stew. It's all underneath heated tents. In fact, this year we've got about 42,000 square feet of heated tent space that we're going to be partying at all afternoon.
That sounds really good. This is part of your big 3 events. You just had a nice event in the fall, of course, so this is a big one too. And this is a good time of the year in January coming up because, it gets the year started off right and a nice little social and excellent food as well.
Yes, it is. We have, by the middle of January, everybody's hungry again. We've all eaten over Christmas and New Year's, and, a couple weeks later, everybody's kind of looking around for something to do. So we started this event. This will be our 4th year to have it, and it is part of a trio of events that we do at Windsor Castle Park in downtown Smithfield. We do the this year it's April 8th. It's the Smithfield Wine and Brew Fest, and then the first Saturday in October, our last event is the Bacon, Bourbon, and Beach Music Fest, which, yes, we just held. It seems like just the other day.
Seems like it did. It was a lot of fun, too, a lot of bacon. And, of course, we've talked since then, too. It seems like, too, that, no matter what the event, you guys get sold out very quickly, but volunteers and sponsors are always welcome.
Yes, we do have, Bob Fest is sold out. It's sold out. We put tickets on sale for that event the middle of November. And we had 2 different release dates, and both times it sold out in like 6 or 7 minutes. It's kind of gotten crazy. We do limit the number of people that come to our festivals, and so therefore it's not a huge crowd. There's room to spread out, and and even with this event underneath a tent, it's not overly crowded. You can still get your oysters and get your beer and get your wine, and it's one of the things that people like most about our festivals. And we do it as a fundraiser, so it's really tempting to sell more tickets, but we don't want it to be overcrowded. So we do limit it, which also means it sells out very quickly. So we do have a few sponsorships left for this event. You can find out about those. In fact, I just had, due to a medical reason, I had one of my VIP sponsor tables have to back out just a couple of days ago. So I do have one table for 8 in our VIP section, which is down by the band, which, by the way, is the DeLoreans. And if you haven't heard them play, they put on a great show. They are a 1980s show band, and they put on a phenomenal show. So I do have one table left. If you're interested, you can contact me directly, and I'll give you our website and phone number here in just a minute. And then there are a couple other small business sponsorships where you get a couple of tickets that are still left, and those are all on our website. And then the only other way to get tickets at this point is to book a hotel room. I think there are just a couple rooms left at a couple of the hotels that are local that have a block of tickets. But that's about it that's left for this event.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, go ahead and plug all your social media.
Okay. For our main website, and the best one to go to is it's www.smithfieldvaevents, and that's EVENTS.com. And on the homepage, you'll see a logo for each of our 3 events. And so if you're interested in the Bob Fest or the sponsorships, you would click on the Bob Fest logo and then go to the sponsorship page, and it lists that hot table that I just mentioned, that I would love for someone to really need to get 8 people at this event, and it's great seats, and then our other ones are listed there also. You also can get information about when tickets go on sale for the Wine Fest, which is the middle of February, and also the Bacon Fest, because you're going to want to put those dates on your calendars because, like I said, they do sell out very quickly within minutes usually when we put them online.
All right, one more time, the phone number, please.
Oh, and the phone number, you just call me directly, and it is, my name's Gina, and it's 757-869-0664.
Very good. Gina, all the best to you and your family. Stay safe the rest of the week, and Happy New Year, and we will talk to you again next month.
Okay, that sounds great, and I hope to see you on the 14th, Greg. Are you coming out?
Yeah, that's like Casper the Friendly Ghost. You and I did go to your bacon event, as you well know, and I had a great time.
Good. Well, we hope to see you in January.
I highly endorse everyone to go out there. Thank you, Gina. Okay.
All right, thanks. Have a good day.
Very good. All right, folks, before we get to what tees me off, a lot of bowls going on as well. You got Pittsburgh and Northwestern. You got Miami and West Virginia. Indiana's taking on Utah, 8:30 tonight on Fox. Kansas State, Texas A&M. So a lot of bowls going on today. It's really bowl season. So now let's get to what tees me off.
What tees you off? Presented by GJBTV.com.
All right, before we get to what tees me off, of course, top stories of the year, Alabama's domination in football. NBA, the Cavs finally won the championship. The Cubs winning the World Series. Old Dominion winning the Popeyes Bowl. UVA and Virginia Tech new coaches, but only Virginia Tech has evolved so far, and they made a bowl again. The passing of Arnold Palmer. Redskins making the postseason back in January, losing to the Packers. Who knows what will happen this weekend? And, of course, congratulations to the UConn women, the Sparks in the WNBA, and Villanova for winning the NCAA championship in basketball. All right, what teased me off? A few things before we get to the top of the hour here. Tables at restaurants that are not clean when you arrive. Really? What are you doing? The restaurant tables need to be clean when you arrive and sit down and eat your dinner and dessert. Salads are nice, folks, but it seems like you're chewing forever. I mean, you chew and chew. Are you still eating your salad? Yes, I'm still eating my salad. All right, how about this, BT? Comparing gifts during the holidays. Let kids handle that, not adults. When adults start comparing their gifts, that's just really wrong. Awkward Christmas parties. Really, the big thing is entering and then escaping as soon as you possibly can. Grace and Allen at Duke. BT, you saw this. This is 3 times this kid tripped somebody else. Really, Grace and Allen? You're an adult? No temper tantrums on the bench acting like a 5-year-old? You're 21 years old. He was pitching a foul like a little, 5-year-old, BT. One thing is about hot sauces, great. I like Texas Pete, but the extreme hot sauces, no, this is not a food challenge as well. And we have one more gift to give away. The first person we're feeling very merry this time of the year to text the word pizza. You can spell it Pizza. Text it to 291-4234. Text the word pizza to 291-4234. You will get a free Papa John's gift card for a large pizza. I'll take one more caller at 291-4234. Text it now and you'll get a free pizza from Papa John's. Yum. Save you some money. Good treat for the New Year's. Text the word pizza right now to 291-4234. So, I want to thank all of our guests today, Rich Walcoff as well as Robert Fish and Gina Ippolito for coming on Sports Scene, at Greg Bick on Twitter. For more, go to gjbtv.com. Hit the YouTube link for archive shows. Coming up is Dennis Prager, of course, then Glenn Beck. And, of course, this is your home for the Ravens. They have one more game against the Bengals this Sunday. They're out of the playoffs. And, of course, the Wizards starting on January 6th and January the 8th right here on 1650 AM and tunein.com. At Greg Bick on Twitter. And, again, 291-4234. for the free pizza from Papa John's. So for BT Briggs, I'm Greg Bicouvaris, at Greg Bick on Twitter. Happy Wednesday, Happy New Year, and we'll talk to you soon.